to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we get started this evening. Before we get started with a regular meeting, I'd like to welcome Ms. Brown from the Germantown Central School District, Superintendent of the school. I'd like to have her step up to the podium. I believe you're going to do a little presentation on the budget and what's coming up. I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I did bring a little handout. Unlike last year, I don't have a lot to tell you, so I will make it quick. This is actually part of the document that will become the newsletter. This year's school budget vote is on May 19th at the school for all of the members of your town who are also residents in the school district, of course. We invite them to come from noon until 9 p.m. And on the ballot this year is Proposition 1 for the 2015-16 budget. There is, on the front of this, underneath the vision and mission, is exactly how the ballot will look. And this year we do have 2 seats on the Board of Education, and we have 2 members running for those seats. I mostly wanted to bring this to show off our valedictorian and salutatorian, because we're so proud of them. On the back of the sheet is some detail, at least the way we group portions of our budget to give subtotals, and it also shows the anticipated revenues and the impact on the tax levy. We are increasing the tax levy over last year by 1.37%, which actually is our tax levy increase limit as well. And there is a lot of detail about this budget available on the school district's website that you will see back on the front, right here, www.germantowncsd.org. And we invite you to please go there if you have any questions. But certainly, if any of the Clermont residents have questions, I always invite them to call the district, ask for me. I return all phone calls, and I'm more than happy to explain or answer any questions that the public may have.
Okay. Excellent. As far as the proposition you have on the expansion stuff, is that going to be all part of the? You split that up, I think, this time as a reference.
Yes, the the board is going to put the capital project back up for the voters in June. The date is June 11th. And the project has been split. We examined the exit poll for the March 10th vote, and we had quite a few folks who engaged in the exit poll felt that they wanted to see the capital project presented in split 2 different sections. So the board was pleased to respond to that, and I will probably come back and visit you before that.
Okay. Yeah, because there was quite a few of those necessities, I believe, that were on that list. I'd like to obviously see it through, so excellent. All right, well, I know, Redhook and Pine Plains were here last month, and they were glad that you weren't here after what you did to them last year.
Oh, yeah. And see, it's so much calmer this year.
Yeah, that's okay. No, okay. Well, since I'm the only one on this board in the Germantown School District, does anybody else have any questions? You have any questions, Mrs. Brown? Any public questions?
One, just a curiosity.
Sure.
I read something in the paper that said that when you split that into 2 parts, if the first part doesn't pass, you can't.
That is true, actually.
Why is that?
Apparently, the law, as our council has told us, the law does not allow for a checklist per se. So folks can't select and choose from a list what they would like, even if the list is 2 items. Therefore, the way it's presented to the public is Proposition 1, which we have really everything except the addition in Proposition 1. If and only if that passes, do we look at the vote for Proposition 2. In fact, I think Columbia Paper said it well. If Proposition 2 passes and 1 does not, nothing passes. very interesting, but there is apparently case law, as well as regulations on the books to present to the public in that manner.
So people want the auditorium, but they don't want the other stuff, they can't.
That actually cannot happen. And the auditorium, I prefer to call it an addition because it does so many more things than an auditorium. It allows us to put spectator seating in the elementary gym, which presently we cannot use at all for any spectator events. It allows us to have a new band room and a set room because of our expanded, very solid and expanding drama and performance arts. And it also allows us a new entryway into the school. And of course, as you know, security is always a huge issue, and that would help us very much in providing the security that we want to provide for our students.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Very good. Anybody else have any questions from Mary? Nothing?
No, I'll be there.
All right.
Okay, so I can always be reached at the school, just ask for the superintendent, and if any of, again, your residents have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them and respond to them.
Very good.
Thank you so much for
Thank you very much
having
for
me.
coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to our approval of prior town board minutes. Do we have any suggestions, comments, corrections?
Move to approve.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Mary, you wanna move on to the quick report? Oh, yeah, that's good.
Okay, town clerk's report for April 2015. Planning board, site plan, commercial, $200. Subdivision, minor, $250. That's 2 lots. Site plan, residential, $75. Dog licensing, $40. Driveway permits, $25. Town clerk fees for vital statistics marriage license, $17.50. Total check for the general fund, $607.50. Trust and agency for Ray Towsey, the planning board, $760. Harold Rockefeller, planning board, $500. Art Perry, planning board, $500. Parkland Reserve, TA 2001, for Harold Rockefeller, $800. Total check for trust and agency, $2,560. Paid to New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for dog surcharges, $16. Paid to New York State Department of Health marriage license, $22.50. So the total income for the month of April, $3,206.
Good. Motion to accept the clerk's report.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Like that time.
Awesome.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mary. Mill review.
Okay, we have received the Elder Express from the Columbia County Office for the Aging for the spring and summer. And I have left copies on the board, on the table up there for anyone that wants to take one. And we received a letter from New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, Office of Real Property Tax Services, on the cyclical aid certification for the town of Clermont. Dear Mr. Stats, congratulations, your municipality has met the requirements for aid for cyclical reassessment on your 2014 assessment roll. By your successful completion of these requirements, the taxpayers in your community are receiving the benefits of equitable assessments that reflect current market value. I commend your assessor for maintaining a system of real property tax administration that meets the highest standards set by the state. Such efforts are essential to guarantee equity and fairness to the taxpayers of your municipality. This financial assistance will help your assessor to continue to maintain the equity evidenced on the 2014 final assessment roll. Since your municipality completed a reappraisal on the 2014 assessment roll, you are eligible for aid in the amount of up to $5 per parcel. The payments made under this aid program have been reduced to 45.58% of the maximum eligible amounts since the request for reimbursement exceeded the appropriation. Accordingly, a state aid voucher in the amount of $2,176.45 has been forwarded to the Office of the State Comptroller for payment. The aid payment was computed using a parcel count of 955, which was extracted from your 2014 final assessment roll file. The Office of the State Comptroller has informed us that all state aid received for real property tax administration should be recorded excuse me, in the general government account A3040, State Aid Real Property Tax Administration. Signed, sincerely, Robert Aiken.
Thank you, Mary. And that's, again, I'd like to just mention that thanks to Cheryl for doing the reassessment program, keeping everything up to date. We do receive a small token reimbursement for that. Like Mary said, $2,176. You know, unfortunately, they reduced it from what it was supposed to be, $5 a parcel, but we did not purposely budget this money because I wasn't quite sure we could get anything, you know, because who knows what the state cut back. So this will be in addition of, you know, what we didn't expect is $2,000 extra. We'll do a budget amendment if and when it does actually show up, but we're gonna wait until we get it. But it is, you know, again, very important to keep the assessments up to 100%, because it's the fairest thing for everybody in the town. And Cheryl's doing a great job, and we certainly appreciate it. This is what it is, a small token for the state to make sure we keep it up to 100%. Glad to be able to accept that. So, all right, is that it?
That's all.
All right. Correspondence for the web committee. Does anybody have anything, any suggestions, comments, questions for the web committee? Maybe you want to talk real quick about what happened with our...
Sure. So, April 16th, I believe it was, our site was taken offline by GTEL because they noticed that we had an older version of our website software on there that was being exposed for exploit. As far as I know, there wasn't any damage or anything, but they noticed the vulnerability and shut us down while we updated our website to the latest version and brought it back online the following morning. So that was unexpected, but we got it back running again.
We're back up to the prime.
It's running normally and there haven't been any follow-up issues.
Good. Okay. Excellent. Small hiccup.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. All right, let's move on to committee reports.
Just a couple of things. Jimmy's asked me a couple of times, trying to get a couple small signs to put up over there that say no pets in the ball field area, because he's noticed some people out there running dogs around and things, and, you know, we really don't want any dogs leaving deposits in the area where kids are playing. So I'd like to just get board's approval to go ahead and get a couple of signs. I'm not sure exactly what the price would be, but they won't be very expensive.
So is this just for the area inside of the field? So if someone wanted to use that space to walk and exercise pets, would that be permitted, or is it just the entire park?
Yeah, no, I think eventually when we get, you know, the park built up a little more and put permanent signs at the corner, we thought about saying that pets should be leashed or caged. But yes, they would run the pets, but they also should clean up after.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Problem is in the area where the kids are playing on the ball field, you know, if the animals are urinating, they're not gonna clean that up. The other, some they may or may not, and we just have to keep that.
I just wasn't sure if it was specific to the ball field area or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna do specific signs at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem, there's no problem with that at this point. All right, go ahead, sure.
All right, Nevis Road paving is done. I rode over a couple times and it looks pretty good. They're in the process now of filling in the shoulders with item 4. There's a little bit of a drop off there. They did do some handwork on the front of people's mailboxes and that, so they wouldn't break their ankle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole area will be filled in. And there was some discussion about that in the past. They put 1.25 inches on there because the road was in good shape, and this will cover over where the culverts were replaced a couple of years ago. And so then the rest of it probably, I'm not sure, possibly, but probably will be on the list for next year.
I have to think so, I would think
but it came out, I thought, pretty well.
Yeah, it was a worth your time, so.
It wasn't cheap, but we'll get most of that back with all the chips on it. And the last thing I had was, the Camp Palatine will be running from July 6th to August 14th. There was an ad actually in the River Chronicle, I don't know if any of you saw it, but they listed prices for $75 per child for residents of Germantown and Clermont. All others, non-residents, pay $125. So that, and the reason for that is because we do make a donation to Camp Palatine, and we get a little bit of that back, though, but not much. But, so it just encourage people to use it. I think a lot of people do already.
Excellent. Yeah, they have a very nice
Registration
program.
Deadline is June 27th. So,
Okay, excellent. Yeah, but just, that information is out there. I know it's on Germantown's website. Hopefully there's a link on our website too as well. I don't know if it is or not, but we should put that one on there for, because it is a very good program. I know my kids take advantage of it. A lot of kids use this program. They have a very nice summer program there, so it's a very good opportunity for the kids to have a little something to do. So.
yeah, they do field trips and things too, right?
Yeah, no,
They mentioned some of them in the ad.
They go over to Waterslide Park in Durham, and they went there. They do quite, 3 or 4 different events they usually go.
Yeah, actually, they thought about
Zoom
some
for it, there you go.
Bronx Zoom also, in the McCaden Theater
Yeah.
this year, so.
Yeah, so they offer quite a good, very nice program actually, very nice.
They have a Bronx Zoo, they're saying.
It's listed out in the ad.
Well, that's good. My great granddaughter was just saying today she wants to go to the zoo.
There you go.
So she'll be
They're over there.
She'll be going.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Evan, you have anything else? Kind of
No,
talk about the website already? All right. Chris,
No.
you are gonna take a look into the backstop stuff for us for next month.
Yes, I will.
Excellent, appreciate that, thank you. Dawn?
Since our last meeting, we received notice that our grant to the Bank of Greene County was approved, and that was $350 to
Nice.
purchase a cabinet for the community house. It will be used to store supplies in the event that the community house is put into service as a comfort station in the event of an emergency. So as soon as we get that check, I'll pass that word along to Tammy, and she can start shopping.
Excellent.
I also want to thank Fred, because a couple of months ago when we first mentioned this, Fred Cartier, who does our videotaping, he also donated a cabinet to the community house that I'm not quite sure what Tammy has in mind for it, but I have seen it and it looks great. The color and everything fits right in over there, so that's very much appreciated. The Village Green Committee is going to meet Wednesday at 7 o'clock here. I know it's too late for people who are on video, but we do have the tickets for the barbecue, and those go on sale shortly. I'm sure next month I'll have more information. But this year, we're gonna do something a little bit differently, thanks to Kimberly Peacock. She reached out to a couple of businesses and also the winery, and tickets are gonna be available in some different places. I know Otto's in Germantown has agreed to sell tickets for us. I can't recall if it's the Red Hook Chamber or a tourism office has agreed that they would sell tickets for us. The winery will have tickets. Mary will have tickets here in Town Hall. So I'll have more information on that next month. And I've also been meeting with Susan Robb, the Germantown Town Historian, and we are planning a small event for the Path Through History Weekend, and that's the weekend of June 20th and 21st. She and her husband are planning out a route that will go through Germantown and Clermont and hit some historic sites. And then they will take a break here, depending if it's Saturday or Sunday. Sunday, if it's the rain day, they'll have to be over here in the town hall, where they'll stop as they go through the two towns, and I'll do a little bit about the history of the buildings here. So more information will be coming about that. And I think that's it.
Excellent, very good, thank you. And thanks to Fred again for the cabinet, and I also want to recognize just what Dawn said about Bank of Greene County. I think this is the 3rd year in a row we've received a grant from them. If not 3rd year in a row, 3 or 4 years we received some kind of grant for money from them for miscellaneous things. One was, just this recent one was the cabinet, and we received one for the ball field.
Right.
And we also received another second one for the ball field.
$1,000.
Yeah,
Right,
so they've been very generous as well, so thank you. Thank you to them as well. Okay, all right, moving on to old business. Commons road signs, we talked about this last month, about the signs for the road, for Commons Road. What I did is I got a hold of the county highway department, had them update the list they had from last year, and we had a look into it last year. They sent us an updated revised list with new pricing, and don't ask me how, because nothing ever goes down, excuse me, but the price is a little bit cheaper than it was last year, so let's take it and run. But the total to put the signs on the road in the adequate spacing, or, wherever they need to be, is a total of 15 different signs going up, $1,432.94. And it's actually more than that, because some of these are duplicates. They said there's 4 of this kind, and 2 of this one, 2 of this one. So I think, I spoke to Jimmy about this, highway superintendent. He feels that it's a very reasonable price. It's basically just material price anyway. The county actually installs this. He says if they're willing to do this, we should go ahead and take the money out of, we have some in the general budget under signs, and the rest out of his budget, which he'll, he updates signs every year anyway. We'll take the rest out of his budget for the balance. So he thought we should proceed to go ahead and do that, so that's one road he will have to touch. I personally don't have a problem with that, and if you have any questions, but I certainly think we should move forward with that.
Yeah, I think, I thought we had almost, probably agreed last year that we were gonna do that, and then.
Well, we looked into it, and we never really.
So I think we should move to approve it and go ahead with it this year.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. I'll let them know. Repairs, painting the community house. Last month I said I was gonna pull out the list of the old list that we had from Supervisor, or excuse me, Councilman Kale that provided us with a work scope on repairing the building next door to the community house. I couldn't find this list until tonight, until Mary actually provided me with a copy that she had. So I didn't get a chance to update it. There is a few things that need to be changed, tightened up, and updated a few things that we talked about, fixing the cracks in this door, the other door. So what I'd like to do is just fine tune this list and actually put it out for bids, so we can get some bids in for the next meeting, and then we can review, the bids and go from there. We did budget, I think $10,000 in this year's budget for this work to be done, but again, let's get some bids in here that are apples to apples compared, and see what we want to do as far as moving forward. But I think we really do need to get something done in the front of this building over here, community house, because it is starting to show some age, and the paint's chipping off, and the boards are actually starting to be in dire need. So I'd like to get that fixed before it gets any worse. It costs us even more.
So since we're not spending money to get bids, we probably don't need a motion. If there's no objection, I just suggest we have the supervisor go ahead and ask for bids.
We can get something out, so we get some bids in for the next month's, sealed bids for next month's meeting. Okay. All right. Okay, Mill Road Bridge. Hey, here's an old topic. I just wanted to put this on the list because now that things have settled down, winter's over, I mentioned this before, that I spoke to Mr. Finger about donating the property for a turnaround at the end of the road, and the highway department, and also the engineering department of the county. I have not had a chance to coordinate a time to get together with all those people, but like I said, everything's just calming down, starting to take off in the spring. I am going to this next month here, meet with everybody, take a look at the end of the road, find out where the property is, and see if the engineering department take a look and see what we can do to start preparing for a turnaround down there. We talked about it last month. I already have the county board approval to use the county resources to do this, because it is something they inflicted on the town, so they're willing to actually incur the costs of helping engineer it and actually make the turnaround, even though it's a town road.
So you want to remove the bridge there?
The bridge is not on the discussion for removal yet, and I don't think I really want to push that at this point, because it's an election year. Depending if a few seats change, we may be able to push this issue again next year, trying to go back at it. If the bridge is down, it'll be a little harder, so I'm not too worried about getting the bridge down yet.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is, just to again update everybody that we are, I am moving forward, trying to get that turnaround built down there.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it may take several years, even if it does get approved. It's still 3-4 years out at the minimum if we ever did anything at this point. So I think a turnaround would help down there. So we'll move forward with that, and I'll update everybody next month after I figure out what once I meet with everybody and figure out what we're doing. DEC update, I spoke to the engineer that's handling the brownfields cleanup this morning, as a matter of fact. Just wanted to get an update from him so I could let everybody know where we're at. They did put out an RFP on the surveying, and they do have all the prices back, and it looks like they're awarding the bid to the surveyor that's going to be doing work on the property, which will be doing all the total and all the elevations for the work that's coming up. I'm not going to mention the name that they said they were awarding it to, because I don't know if that's definite yet, but they have somebody that I believe is a little bit that they're going to award it to. They think we'll see them probably next week doing all the survey work on this. They still say they're on schedule for June start date, sometime in June, to get in here and start working on the actual remediation. So it is going to happen. I don't know if it's any farther back than they thought, but they originally thought it would be done by September. So I would still say we're probably close to it, because we're still getting started pretty early. So maybe September, October, but it's still going to be completed this year.
Once they get the topographical survey information, they still have to do some engineering drawings, and they're gonna be ready to start in June.
And he says as soon as he gets, I think that's his department, he does all his drawings, and then he builds it out. That's what he needs to finish the bid package. He says he's still thinking June. That's what he said.
Okay, well, June 30th is June.
That's right. Yeah.
Ray, has there been any further discussion as far as the roadway?
I haven't reached that conversation since really nothing's happened since then. I think that's something we'll have to, once I get started, is follow up conversation when he's down here, working. Nothing at this point.
You know what the road, the entrance from Route 9 is? Yeah. Yeah, the application has been put in by more associates for the DEC. But he couldn't put in the complete application because it doesn't have the survey work to get the elevation. But he has gotten that started with the DOT.
Okay.
So,
All right. Other than that, I'll keep everybody updated as soon as we have some more information. Hopefully by next month we'll see some, probably won't see some action, but we should be knowing exactly what's going on with that. Okay, new business. Let's start with something I don't have on the agenda. I see Mr. Arlick has joined us this evening. Mr. Arlick is our representative from Clermont on the Environmental Management Council for the county. I actually spoke to him last month, and he talked about wanting to come in maybe just to give a quick update on what that board is actually doing, fill us in, and give us just a quick update. I'd be glad to have you step up.
I didn't know there was going to be a podium.
Well, just that way we can get you on tape.
We'll applaud.
Thank you for coming in, I appreciate it, and giving us an update.
I should perhaps first tell you how this came about. My presence on this committee is that somebody from the Columbia Land Conservancy asked me, why doesn't Clermont have a representative on the Environmental Management Council? And I said, I don't know. I said, that's great. And so I called up and I said, how come? He said, because nobody volunteered. And then there was this pause, and he said, why don't you volunteer?
That's exactly the way it went.
So I was caught, even though I have no particular environmental expertise. I was a reporter at the point that covered some zoning and land use issues, but I didn't have expertise, but I'm sort of learning on the job. So I thought I would just come in and just give you a brief report on who we are and what we do. There are 19 or 20 members, one from each town in Columbia County. It varies because there's some vacancies. And the chair is Ed Simonson from Kinderbrook. And then there are 3 non-voting members, Terry Mayhew from the Cornell Cooperative Extension, Ed Van Nostrum from the Health Department, and Christine Vanderleen from the Columbia Land Conservancy. So some of the things that we've been looking at, there was, I don't know if you heard about this proposed Kinder Morgan pipeline that was going to go through some of the northern towns in the county. It's primarily in Massachusetts, but it would have impacted Chatham and Lebanon and Canaan. And there was a lot of opposition to it, particularly in Massachusetts, but also from those affected towns like there. A big pipeline, it was not clear if it would at all benefit the towns that it was going through. And finally, what happened is that there was so much opposition, mostly from people in Massachusetts, that Kinder Morgan decided to put it in New Hampshire. So I don't know what shows it's kind of not in my backyard or in terms of the world what it means, but it was interesting that there was so much opposition that the company changed the location.
Where was it coming from and where is it going to?
It's going to Boston, I'm not sure, it's a huge pipeline, I'm not sure what the origin was, but it's going through most of Massachusetts, and now they've taken a more northern route, they're gonna put it through New Hampshire.
It was going to Boston,
I think so. Yeah.
and Massachusetts was against it.
Yeah.
Does-
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was a huge expansion of the existing pipeline.
Now, this pipeline was for oil or for gas or
It was gas.
gas pipeline?
The committee has also been monitoring the Dewey landfill Superfund site. That's primarily Rensselaer County, but there again, there are some Stuyvesant and Kinder, some towns that would be impacted because the discharge would go into the, pronounce it Valacha? There are different ways of pronouncing it. Valacha Kill. So far, the levels that have been monitored do fall within EPA guidelines, and there are no appreciable contaminants in Kimberley Lake or in the Valacha Kill. Another thing that we've been doing is trying to encourage the county to institute a GIS system. And I was ignorant as to what a GIS system was. Some of you probably know. It's a graphic information system that enables you to superimpose various maps and to look at different aspects of the resources in the community. So, for example, you might want to be looking at, say, gas stations that might be in danger of polluting something, or landfills, and you might want to superimpose wetlands over that, or parks or something. So I assume that would be you. Apparently what's happening is that it's in place, the county has it, the county got a grant to have it, but it's not really up and running yet. They're still working on the software. But apparently it's a very useful tool for any community to be able to look at superimposed maps and look at various questions. So when that is up and running, I'll let you know, and we'll see if I'm going to make use of it.
We are getting, every day we get close, they are updating it, they're finally getting up to stuff.
Right, it seems to be a
It's
very.
been a long haul, that, it's pretty complicated from what I understand, I don't know that much about it, but,
And I think there will be resources to bring people up to speed on it. There'll be tutorials, there will be ways of making this. But apparently it's a potential really good tool. We also do what we call Good Earthkeeping Awards, and these go to individuals or to groups or to businesses. This is something that was done years ago and then it sort of fell by the wayside, but now it's been reinstituted. We did it last year, and we'll do it again at our June meeting, give out awards to people who have been particularly upstanding and protective of the environment. And then finally, there's the huge issue of climate change, and it's sort of hard to know what to say about that since it's such a gigantic issue. But there are some towns that are beginning to look at climate change in terms of their own communities. There's been one of the sort of ways of starting that process is there's been a resolution in Cooperstown, which basically just says that we recognize the dangers of climate change and we take it seriously, and we will at some point look at what we might do. There are no committed expenses or any sort of programs that have been launched, but a number of towns are beginning to adopt these resolutions, and in our own town, in Columbia County, who adopted it? One town in Columbia County has adopted it, but I forget which one it is. Anyway, so I've adopted adopted this Cooperstown resolution, just sort of put it in Clermont terms. There's no sense in going over it now, and there are a lot of whereases which have a lot of facts and figures about climate change, but in terms of the be it resolved that, it would say, resolved, the Board of Trustees in the town of Clermont urges the County of Columbia, the State of New York, and the Congress and the President to take prompt and effective measures to rapidly address climate change by promoting and encouraging a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels and their associated infrastructure, improvement in the efficiency of energy systems, and the development and installation of renewable energy systems, and stands ready to work with any level of government to achieve these goals that will, in the process, create safe, sustainable jobs, provide real clean energy solutions for generations to come. So it's just kind of a, it doesn't commit you to anything, it's just kind of a declaration. I'm sorry that I don't remember the town in Columbia County that has passed it. Oh yes, I can tell you in 1 second. It was in our minutes. It was Hillsdale.
Yeah, you got it.
Hillsdale.
And she ended that with me, she was right.
Yeah. And Chris Gibson has been very, as some of you may know, has been very active on this question and is currently trying to mobilize a number of Republican members of the House to get on board for taking climate change seriously. So anyway, this is something you might want to think about, and if you want to move forward on it, I'd be happy to.
Well, I'll tell you what, since we just scheduled this night, I'd want to take a look at it, and we can consider it the next meeting, if everyone wants to read on it, and see if there's any questions, we can go a little bit, but yeah, I'd be glad to take a look at it. Thank you.
And I should get myself updated on this brownfield thing, because I was unaware of that. So I'll check it
Have it
out.
right in our hometown, eh?
Figure out what's going on. So, that's it. Just personally, one thing that I'm doing about climate change is planning to install a solar array, and I've been working with the planning board and zoning board and province president and some of those things. So that's a complicated question, and eventually I'll come back and tell you about my own personal experience with installing a solar array and how it works with the town process.
Excellent.
Thank you for serving.
Thank you very much, and I just wanted to mention that, people that serve on this council, I'd like to thank all of them, thank you, thank all of them, because they really are on the front line of what's going on with the county issues. A lot of times they're investigating and doing a lot of work on this stuff, granted, as county board supervisors, I may not know what's going on in Canaan and Hillsdale and stuff, these guys are on the front line looking at it, investigating it, and bringing their concerns, I think, back to the county board for us to look at. So I do appreciate you serving on that for us in this town, especially in all the people that serve on it.
Well, it's been an education, we'll say. I should also mention that there, in addition to the Environmental Management Council, there also is supposed to be in every town something called a Citizens Advisory Council. This is part of the environmental law of New York State. And about half the towns in Columbia County do have these, and the other half don't. And I'm sure it's the same problem, like you said, nobody volunteered. But if you know of people who are knowledgeable and interested in environmental questions, Clermont should have a Citizens Advisory Council. And I think what they primarily do is they inventory the resources in a community. They sort of, that's the first step would be, what's here that's worth preserving? What do we need to think about and be careful about? So do an inventory, and then maybe an inventory of hazards or dump sites or potential problems. But about half the towns in Columbia County have a CAC, and Clermont does not.
Is there a town that has a council that you think is kind of a best practice?
Yes, actually, Ray, you must know Art Basson?
Sure, man.
Yeah, well, apparently, Ankrum has a very active Citizens Advisory Council. So if you want to just speak to Art about that, find out what his experience was.
Talk to her quite regularly, I'll check into that, because I know this was brought up by Ed Simonson at the last couple of meetings, he mentioned that a lot of towns didn't have this, I knew we didn't have one, again, we're begging people to get on any kind of board we can here, so see, and I'll look into it a little bit.
Maybe a notice on the website, that might bring some people in who might be potentially be interested in something like that.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, just a couple updates. We don't have a lot of new business to discuss. I just want to mention the first quarter sales tax. We received our first quarter sales tax from the county, $74,957.89. It was about $530 more than last year's first quarter payment. So it's basically about flat for last year, which is fine, good news with us, as long as it's not dropping. We budgeted conservatively, so if we hold flat with what we collected last year, we'll be in great shape with our budget. But it was, just like I said, a hair over. Right up until the last few payments to the county, we were still quite a bit above, 5 to 6% above the prior year's sales tax. But all of a sudden, it sharply dropped off, and PJ Keeler, the treasurer, told me it was not just Columbia County, it was statewide. Basically, all the spending stopped. I don't know if it was because of tax time coming up, everybody's conservative, but it was a sharp decline the last, month in payments.
I'm sure gasoline taxes, or gasoline costs being low, the taxes are low.
The taxes are sort of low, but yeah, they've been low since last fall almost, really. But still, there's no rhyme or reason. It seemed like a sharp decline all the way across. So it wasn't just us isolated. And again, we still are above where we were last year, which a lot of counties are not. So as far as I look at it, it's still a positive. So we're in pretty good shape. The mortgage tax, I thought I'd have it by now. The biannual payment of the mortgage tax is in. We should have the check any day now. I don't have the figure right in front of me because they didn't send me a printout, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,500 for our semi-annual payment. We budgeted $35,000 for the year, so it's a little less than I'd like to see it, but usually the second payment's a little higher, so we need the second payment to come in around $22,000 to hit our budget roughly. The mortgage tax has been tough. We decreased it over the budget from last year a little bit. We should be close to what we should be getting. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll have, hopefully it'll pick up a little bit and bring up to meet our budget, but it'll be close. It's not concerning to me at this point. And road conditions. I just want to put this out there because we spoke a little bit about last month about some of the roads around here being in pretty rough shape. I know Chris brought up Cartier 4, which is Lasher Road. Columbia County section is in very, very rough shape. I spoke to the superintendent of the county, and they plan on doing some work down in Clermont this year. That was one of the ones he had on the list to take care of, County Road 4. So I don't know what that means if they're tearing it all up, but they certainly are going to address something with it, not just going to put a Band-Aid on. So that is on the list for this year. Also, Church Avenue, the part, I don't know how far they're going with Church Avenue, County Road 33, which is actually the road I live on. It's been in rough shape for years as well. They also have that on the list to do something with too. So there is going to be some road construction in Clermont this year.
You might want to mention to them that the west end of County Road 4, Lasher Road, in the spring gets very bad. I mean, it's bad now.
They know.
It's very
They
bad.
plow it, they know.
All right.
So they're very aware of how bad
Because
it was.
it's kind of
got a little
settled
better now.
back now. So if they just decide, well, we can just pave over it.
No, they know that one's got to come down and reclaim it because, it's when it was heaved up, you could almost fly out of your seat going across that road.
Yeah.
So it's rough.
The rest of it is probably a little resurfacing.
The worst part of it is the last couple hundred yards in Clermont, where it's Dutchess County, that's the worst part. But they know that they're gonna have to redo that, so. There will be some road construction coming up this year down here, so for what he tells me, as long as nothing changes. But we will see, at least that will be the thing too.
Well, it used to be called Swamp River Road. There's a reason.
Swamp Road, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Water.
And as Bob mentioned earlier, our highway department has already been out, they paved part of Beavis Road, a little over half, I think, maybe possibly the other half next year. I don't know what's gonna happen with his budget, what he's gonna propose, but I would think that would be the other half next year. Looks very nice, did a very nice job. And again, it's a maintenance schedule, the highway superintendent has a certain maintenance schedule to keep the roads up, up to date. And if you keep on top of them, you have good roads. If you don't, you have what the county has, a mess. Once you get behind, it's very hard to catch up. So that's why a lot of times we are lenient with you know, it's a very small budget to start with, but what our highway department proposes, you know, generally is needed for, you know, a good maintenance program. So we certainly are glad that they keeping up on our roads, and they're, you know, if you look around town, I think for the majority, I don't think anybody's gonna complain about Clermont's roads, so I'm grateful to them for taking care of the roads.
So when you look at the roads over this past winter in surrounding towns and potholes, you know, I've said this before, people probably get tired of hearing me, but I did find one in Clermont, and they fixed it within a couple of days.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I'd like to mention. If anybody does have any problems with a road, they see a road that's a county road, a state road, a town road, even if it's in Germantown, you know, get a hold of the supervisor, get a hold of me, get a hold of the town supervisor. I certainly found one in Germantown the other day that was terrible, and I called it in, they fixed it within a day. So, you know, anybody that has a problem with any of these roads, just get a hold of me or the Germantown supervisor or anybody that you know that's, you get a hold of the highway department. I mean, certainly call the highway department as well, but usually we have a direct line. We certainly can get in touch with them quicker, and it usually gets dealt with. So, you know, the roads, I don't want to say that the roads aren't kept up well, and it's not anybody's fault. And the county, I certainly don't want to bash the county anymore, but they're only allowed to do what they can do with the budget. You know, and the county's been cutting back, and the amount of money they have to take care of all the roads in the county just isn't enough. So I'm not saying there's any fault with what the county's doing. I think they do the best they can with a limited budget. But, you know, if there's an issue where something can be fixed, please get a hold of somebody that can actually make sure it gets done. Because, you know, obviously we don't want any hazards to be out there on the road. So, you know, we'll continue to do what we can to fund the highway department with more money. But again, with the budget restrictions, it's very difficult. Just the amount of roads that the county maintains, it's unsustainable, unfortunately. So we'll keep up with it the best we can. I guess that's it. Supervisor's report.
Can I ask a question about roads, or we'll wait till?
Can just wait till we
Sure,
get
okay.
to right after this, right
Okay.
after we get to public comment.
Okay.
Superintendent, or excuse me, supervisor's report. Just a quick update. There's not a whole lot to update on. Start with. We just did a foreclosure tour of the county. We toured all the properties from 2010 that are in the foreclosure process. Unfortunately, again, I've been talking about this for, I don't know, forever, but usually properties have to go 3 years before the county can foreclose for back taxes. So, like I said, we're doing 2010. We're still a couple of years behind, which unfortunately is difficult, because by the time you get to a property that hasn't paid taxes for 5 years and some of them have been abandoned for 5 years, the houses are pretty much junk. And, you know, we found a lot of that this past tour. We went around to places that were assessed for $200,000 that we put a minimum bid on for $1,000 because there's nothing there. The foundation's garbage, the house is falling down. It costs more to clean the lot up than it's worth to buy it. So, you know, I've talked about this in the county. I've been very, I don't want to say pain in the butt, but I've been really riding to get these done quicker, because we can't allow this to continue to go 5 years without paying taxes. I mean, we have to stay more on top of this. If it goes 3 years, we get a better jump on it. They're trying to get caught up. We probably will have another round of 2011 foreclosures sometime this year, which will get us closer, but again, we're still trying to catch up. So there is quite a few properties on that list. Many of them were junk. One of them actually is right over here on County Route 8, the property over here that the guy sells a lot of stuff off that road that we've heard about a few times. That is on the list. As soon as the judge signs the order, they are on the judge's desk. Probably within the next 2 months, they will be up for a bid for foreclosure sale. So that will be available if anybody wants to bid on it. I'm sure we should probably make sure the neighbors know that. I think they already are, in case they're interested in bidding it, but it will be going up for sale this year. What else is going on in the county? Road work continues. Like I said, they're trying to do the best they can. They are planning on doing some road work in the county, or excuse me, in the town. Courthouse has been up and running, hasn't been any issues. Everything seems to be going fine over there. Pine Haven, there's not really a lot to update on that, other than it's real funny that when the county owned Pine Haven nursing home, we had 75 beds, down to 75 beds filled. Within 1 month of the company buying it, they have up to 90-some beds filled. They have full-time person that they allocated to go into the hospitals to recruit patients, which is what I've been saying all along. If the county actually put an effort into trying to save the home and to continue running it, we certainly could have done a lot more, bumped the census, brought our revenues up. But again, there was enough people that wanted nothing to do with keeping Haven as a county home that they turned around and sold it. And that just, again, I didn't agree with it, I didn't vote for it, I certainly, I'm disgusted with the way it happened, but it is what it is. They're looking for a full-time administrator to take over. The company that's buying it is looking for a full-time administrator to actually start now, to also get in there and start trying to do what they can to save money and you know, bring up the revenues. I see it as certainly a profitable business when somebody goes in there and runs it that actually wants to make it profitable. And the county just had no interest in continuing, and that just, again, very sad to see that being turned over. So I don't really have a whole lot else to discuss. If anybody has any county issues, questions, please contact me. I'll be glad to talk to you about it, go over anything that I have any information on. Other than that, we'll move on to motion for abstracts, and then we'll get to public comment.
Motion, we pay the general abstract, number 5. Vouchers 110 through 135, the amount of $9,586.31.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Move we pay highway abstract number 5, vouchers number 44 through 57, in the amount of $74,297.56.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We get about 40,000 of that back,
Carried.
chips.
No. It's painful.
Move we pay trust and agency abstract number 3, vouchers 4 through 9, and a total of $506.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment. Before I take the public comment, I just want to, something else I just thought of. I just want to remind people and ask people to be very conscious of the fire ban that's in place until the middle of May, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not extended. Extremely dry conditions have caused 2 brush fires today, as a matter of fact, in the county. I saw the Texas on, where they had 5 fire companies trying to fight a brush fire. It was almost out of control. It spreads so quickly this time of year. I just hope that everybody please recognize that and be very cautious until we get through the dry grass season and get some serious rain. So just want to remind people that, because it is a very, very dangerous potential problem. So, all right.
I agree with that.
Public
I
comment.
have a couple.
Can I just have you step up, please?
Oh, to the podium.
Yeah, we want to get you on TV.
I've almost forgotten my 2 questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One, I'm on Turkey Hill Road, right outside of Elizaville, and a private, there's logging going on the property adjacent to ours. And for a week and a half, I wanted to know about the 18-wheelers, which were nonstop, continuous. If we have any time ordinance from when the work can begin until it ceases in the evening, sometimes up until 10, 11:30 at night. I don't know how people can do that in the dark, but this was huge. This is not we've had logging before, but I've never seen anything to this degree on a town road. So I guess my first question is, does Clermont have a time ordinance of when work can begin and how long it goes?
That I'd have to, well, Ms. Bob has the answer, I'd have to look into it. You don't think so?
You don't think so?
I
And
don't
do
think
we
there
have,
is.
do we have any way on a town road of putting a sign for a certain amount of weight?
Well, we can put up restricted signs if there is a potential hazard for say
Yeah,
bridge.
we had
or,
many
you know,
curves, we
depending
had a
on-
bridge at the end of, but this was, I bring this to your attention because this was not a small operation. These were trucks that came in from Pennsylvania, from all over. Eventually, it's coming down to the end now, but my husband went up and asked, and of course, they're contracted, so they don't know who's, and I really don't know who now owns the property, if it was sold. It's like 10 acres, but it runs right along the road jam corridor. So those were my two questions, and I didn't know anybody, so I called the DEC, and they said they would certainly look into this. And I think with this gentleman before me speaking, that just the consciousness now of what we're doing, what's allowed, and is anybody overlooking? It may be perfectly fine, but at the same time, I don't know. It came in, it's very anonymous, and I still don't know.
Typically, as far as the roads go, if it's a restricted permit or something, the roads are posted for, heavy truck traffic,
Right.
it's a restricted zone.
Right.
I don't believe that road is posted as restricted, so
No, but
unfortunately,
How
for
can
a few
we
years-
have it posted? This is,
Well, that's a study that has to be done, and usually they do that, to post the roads if it's a restricted route. I mean, it could be looked at again, obviously, to see if it's.
I would like someone to look into that if possible, although, as I say, this is like a first, it's huge. Like just constant, all kinds of people in and in and in. Most people work from 9 to 5 or whatever. But this went on continuously through Sunday, last week, through the whole weekend. Still, the huge equipment is there, and it was all day today. I got up at 6, going. So,
I know after I spoke to you on the phone,
Yes, yes.
I did talk to Eli, which I believe.
Eli came over.
And I think they sent somebody else out there to talk
Yeah.
to the
So,
equipment, the truck drivers and stuff, but
Right.
I don't, I think what he said is they're wrapping up this week, they're done, they'll be completely loaded up and out of there sometime beginning, middle of this week, so it should be the next couple of days, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't change the fact that,
No,
what you're
and
asking.
still don't know who's responsible, who's doing what. I mean, it's all very anonymous, so,
And unfortunately, they weren't breaking any laws,
yeah.
because, Eli checked that, he wanted to make sure everything was up to
Yeah.
snuff, but, we
Well, they
don't
did
have.
part on our property. My husband went over, they did move the trucks, but it's just like, I've never seen anything like that before, so I thought maybe the town had some guidance here.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I don't have any answers for you
All
tonight,
right.
but I certainly can look into it a little further and see if there's any, what the
I
restrictions
think
are.
if we had signs, if it was possible, that would help.
If it's
Or at
very
least a
great.
limitation, how many 18-wheelers can come up? This was a convoy,
Okay.
and it went on for days and days and days.
Unless it's a lot-
I don't
lot of
know,
trees,
when you were speaking about the roads, I didn't want to interrupt, but I was gonna say, if indeed a massive operation like this is there, do they have a fee? Do they pay a fee that would go back into the road superintendent's costs? That if they're bringing that amount in, I don't know, these are just questions.
That would be nice, but unfortunately, there is no fee for that, but it would be something that.
Well, if it's unusual, and this was
If
unusual,
they damage the road, they'd be responsible, right?
but that
In
is.
theory,
All right,
tracking
that's,
them down and
that-
get that.
that's-
Yeah.
that's all my
All right,
questions.
well, I
But this
appreciate
was
you.
enlightening, just listening to, I like the map. The map overlay. That's a very good idea, Evan,
All
but
right.
thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome,
yeah,
thank you, and
yeah.
like I said, I'll look into a little bit more about the restrictions and the posting to see what I come up with, but, I'd have to check with our.
We had just finished paying the New York State taxes, so it was, I went on my porch early, and I'm like, it started. I thought, isn't this something? But at least you say it's coming to, you think it's coming.
That's what they told him, that they're loading up what they have, and they're gonna be
Yeah.
cleaning out of there this week.
And again,
so.
it's not the workers, it's not the contractors, I just don't know what it's about. It is big.
Right.
All right.
All right, since there's nobody else here, I think we're in a public
Yes, we're
comment.
done.
Anything further? Nothing else?
Nothing?
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned, second, all in favor?
Motion?
Opposed, carried, thank you.
Okay.